Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the afternoon session of the opening day today, the 11th of September, 1893. We now introduce you to Swami Vivekananda from India and request him to address us. Swami Vivekananda.
It fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. Thank you in the name of the most ancient order of humanity. Thank you in the name of the Mother of Religions. And I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and faiths. My thanks also to some of the speakers on this platform who, referring to the delegates from the audience, have told you that these men from far-off nations may very claim the honor of carrying to different lands the idea of toleration. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has conquered the persecuted and refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth. I am proud to tell you that we have gathered in our bosom the purest remnant of the Israelites who came to southern India and took refuge with us in the very year in which their holy temple was shattered to pieces by Roman bullets. I am proud to belong to the religion which has sheltered and is still fostering the remnant of the grand Zoroastrian nation. I report to you, brethren, a few lines from a hymn which I remember to have repeated from my earliest boyhood, which is every day repeated by millions of human beings. Different beings having their purpose in different places, pouring meaning their water in the sea. So, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different conditions, various through their crooked of faith, all lead to thee. The Fourteenth Convention, which is one of the most august assemblies ever held, is a series of indications which were into the world of the wonderful doctrine teached in the Gita. Whosoever comes to me, to whatsoever form I reach him. All men are struggling to pass, which in the end lead to me. Vegetarianism, bigotry, and its horrible dependence, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. We have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilization, and sent whole nations to despair. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. Their time is come. My fervently hope that the wind that rose this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecution with the sword and with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons bending their way to the same goal.
Distinguished delegates to the World Parliament of Immigrants, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the afternoon session of the opening day today, the 11th of September, 1893. We now introduce you to Swami Vivekananda from India and request him to address us. Swami Vivekananda.
and others. It fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. Thank you in the name of the most ancient order of humanity. Thank you in the name of the Mother of Religions. I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and faiths. My thanks also to some of the speakers on this platform who, referring to the delegates from the audience, have told you that these men from far-off nations may very claim the honor of carrying to different lands the idea of toleration. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and the universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we expect all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has conquered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth. I am proud to tell you that we have gathered in our bosom the purest remnant of the Israelites who came to southern India and took refuge with us in the very year in which their holy temple was shattered to pieces by Roman bullets. I am proud to belong to the religion which has sheltered and is still fostering the remnant of the grand Zoroastrian nation. Every quote to you, brethren, a few lines from a hymn which I remember we have repeated from my earliest boyhood, which is every day repeated by millions of human beings. The different beings having their sources in different places, flowing many water in the sea. So, Lord, the different paths which men take through different communities, various through their crooked of faith, all lead to thee. The Fourteenth Convention, which is one of the most august ceremonies ever done, is a communication, which was into the world, the wonderful doctrine teached in the Gita. Whoever comes to me, to whatever form I reach him. All men are struggling to pass, which in the end lead to me. Vegetarianism, bigotry, and its horrible dependence, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. You fill the earth with violence, lynched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilization, and sent whole nations to despair. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. Their time is come. My fervently hope that when the school this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecution with the sword or with the pen, in the all uncharitable feelings between persons bending their way to the same goal.
So, namaskar, hello and welcome to this very special ReTHINK India Masterclass. 130 years ago, this historic address was made by the legendary Swami Vivekananda at the World Parliament of Religions, 9/11/1893, as we all know about it. And as we were hearing the last few words, that sectarianism, fanaticism, so the whole notion of inclusiveness, which used to be there in India, the heightened tolerance which we had for different pathways of life. So, but today is also a day when the world is commemorating, especially the most militarily and economically powerful country on the planet, the United States of America. It was attacked 22 years back on this very day, and that's how we get this 9/11 precept. And 9/11/1893 and 9/11/2001, they are separated by around 108 years, quite a symbolic mark out here. So today's purport, what we shared with you all, that yet another incidents, a 9/11 incident happened just on the eve of 9/11 2023. A global declaration was signed. India, under whose presidency the G20 group met, and a New Delhi leaders declaration was announced, and that really gave a kind of a succor to the whole word per se. One earth, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, and one future, the triad of the messaging which was there. So starting the G20 summit on the 9th of September, we initiated this marathon. For some technical reasons, we could not do the masterclass on Sunday yesterday. We just felt we had a feedback that let Sunday be a relaxing one. And the G20 declaration, which has come in around 37 pages, the 83 clauses of it all, that is something which we will be discussing for the next 7 days, taking one section at a time. And this entire masterclass is in the ReTHINK India mission of equipping the young minds, the youth of the country. This is a quote from Shri Aurobindo, yet another mascot of India. India's intellectualism, as we all say, that our first necessity, if India is to survive and do her appointed work in the world, is that the youth of India should learn to think on all subjects, to think independently, fruitfully, going to the heart of things, and not stopped by their surface, free of prejudgments, shearing sophism and prejudice asunder, as with a sharp sword, smiting down obscurantism of all kinds, as with the mace of Bhima. So we all watched, perhaps we would have all watched that leaders walk at Bharat Mantapam. It has been a craze and a kind of a fanfare that we follow a lot of eminent people, the successful people in various walks of life. Getting inspired is all fine. But at ReTHINK India, our commitment, our mission, our vision remains that how to nurture the future leadership. And in our own firm opinion, we feel that each one of us who are assembled today, who would be watching us on YouTube and who would be participating in a lot of our other initiatives, the youngsters, the teenagers, the adolescents, all of you, you have the potential, the germs of being a leader in yourself in your own field. So the focus has to be more about Apo Deepo Bhava, becoming a mascot, becoming a leader myself, and that somewhere remained the quintessence of Indic scholarship. Swami Vivekananda was one of the very preeminent mascot of it all, ki how I can contribute to the larger cosmic reality. So in that spirit, we have curated this masterclass marathon. There is one ongoing activity engagement. Maybe some of you have joined in because of attraction towards that. The G20 terminology has a term of Sherpas. Sherpas are generally the leaders, the emissaries of the head of the states who represents. So this is a term largely from a Tibetan, from a mountaineering perspective, but it has been brought into the domain of leadership as well, especially in global diplomacy. So from India, the G20 Sherpa was the legendary Amitabh Khan Sahab, one of the preeminent IS officers of the country. And for the last 2 days, he has been cheering his entire team, which led this massive organization of 2023 G20 summit at New Delhi. So we are challenging the youngsters, especially the class 6 to 12th, to formulate team of 3 students. I think that is the core crux of it also. Let me give that first, and then we will take on the whole study. It will be more of a class format for the next 1.5 2 hours. We'll be delving deep into it and try to I would say, assimilate it in that fashion. So this is being recorded on YouTube. We give the link out there, so no worries about it. You can directly access it from YouTube over there. So the entire spirit of the Young Sherpas contest, there's a lot of MUN activities, model skill in diplomacy, skills in foreign relations, skills in presentation. To really give a macro view to the students at large, to make things in a converged fashion, and diplomacy is perhaps one stream. International relations, global affairs is one stream which converges all the human aspects in one go. Like we are talking about the convergence of technologies, the word we are, as we understand, there's a talk about the fourth industrial revolution, where the various technologies are converging together and a new era is being heralded. So similarly, the global affairs, international affairs is one field where all walks of human life, they do converge. And when we have to make sense of the whole world, I think this is the space, the geostrategic affairs, the geopolitical affairs, the geoeconomic affairs, whatever name we call it. And somehow or the other, we feel that G20 has surpassed all multilateral bodies, the narrative which goes on at the UN, at the various other bodies we are hearing every now and then, the OECD, the BRICS, the SAARC, the ASEAN, the Quad, the SCO, the list goes on and on. We will come to the details of it further. So the Young Sherpas contest, it asks each of the participant teams to choose one of the other Sherpa work streams. So these are the Sherpa work streams which are out there. The documents, and there were 220 meetings odd in around 60 cities. Maybe you are coming from one of those cities where one of the G20 meetings happened. So the entire engagement was in 3 streams: the Sherpa track, the engagement groups, and finance track working groups. So finance track is more involved, more about finance and global economic issues and all. So we would be focusing under the Young Sherpas contest on these Sherpa track themes. So each one of you would have to participate in a kind of a preliminary appreciation of G20 on the 15th of October. We have kept the timelines quite relaxed so that your existing academic load doesn't deter you from aspiring to become a young Sherpa of India. And post that, there will be a presentation around 19th of November. That test is not eliminatory again. That's a question which goes on and on. And there we will be discussing more about the mota contours of 2023 G20. So some of the things we will be covering in these master classes would come handy in responding to them. The idea is to make you an advanced learner, not kind of a very data-centric, very small figure-centric mugging up, but the feel of things. That is what we feel key. It will evolve you as a young Sherpa, because Sherpa, you will read it later on that these are the kind of qualities which we have mentioned, that Sherpas are born to climb and this activity is really for very, very serious chaps. It is not about the transcripts in the annual examination or the half-yearly examination. It is the overall personality, it is the overall worldview which you have at the age of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Age means as per the class stream I'm talking about. So the 6th to 10th, 12th grade, as per our experience at ReTHINK India, you are almost to the similar kind of mental level, just something here, something there. 6th, 7th, 8th, even the curriculum is also very quite closely. You all watch the news channels, you are quite aware, you read newspapers. So in order to make hang of things, so this is the entire activity which we are clubbing it across. Rest of the questions your faculty coordinators would be giving you. It's not in one go it will come to you. You have to extrapolate the spirit of what we intend to achieve out of it. So there will be a kind of a presentation on the chosen work stream, and you would have to devour through the chairman's summary and outcome document pertaining to the work stream what you have chosen. Suppose you choose development. Now development alone on the G20 website, in the last initial meeting, the recording is there on our YouTube channel, where we said that a lot of documents have come through. 112 documents as per Amitabh Kant Sahab in his tweet, they have come out. So we will try to provide you all the documents pertaining to that. Even for education, there is a chairman's outcome and summary, but then there are reports and compendiums and things like that. So our basic motto is that you have to devour through at least through the chairman's document and chairman's summary and the outcome document primarily to be able to participate in the Young Sherpas contest. And rest of the things we will discuss offline. So today's objective is to start the conversation around the very prolonged and a very historic New Delhi Leaders Declaration, which came up on the first day itself, 9th of September, because many of the world leaders, they left India for their other engagements quite early in the day. They did not stop for the third plenary session. So one earth, one family, and one future. So this is what the whole crux of the G20 Leaders Declaration was all about. And since it is a commemoration of Swami Vivekananda, it was not just 9/11 when he spoke for the whole week. These were his other addresses. So just as a general awareness query, and at ReTHINK India, we surmise, and many of the scholars, they say that had the message of 9/11 1893 been heeded to at the global level, perhaps 9/11 2001 would not have happened. And again, we aspire for future ki if this leaders declaration, the New Delhi Leaders Declaration is now heeded to in letter and spirit, perhaps the world would not come to the brink of a World War III. The kind of skirmish we are seeing on the Russia-Ukraine theater, which has been discussed very profusely in this entire declaration. We'll come to that. So this entire 83 clause long Leaders Declaration, it is the summary of it all. It contains of a preamble, it contains of a section on geopolitical, geostrategic affairs. They have not named it that, but for the planet, people, peace, and prosperity. So this is the second special section in this entire Leaders Declaration. Then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. Strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth, accelerating progress on sustainable developmental goals, then Green Developmental Pact for a sustainable future, technological transformation and digital public infrastructure, then international taxation. They have multilateral institutions for the 21st century, and gender equality and empowering all women and girls. So somewhere or the other, the 15th October G20 snapshot, what we would be expecting from all of you would be covering the snippets from this declaration itself. For the next 7 days, we will be discussing each and every these sections separately. Today, we will be focusing on preamble for the planet, people, peace, and prosperity, and section A, the clauses out there. And let's go towards that one. So this is a kind of a declaration like we all have studied our Civics 101, we the people of India having solemnly resolved the way our preamble to our own constitution. So similarly, in that lingo, in that verbiage, this entire New Delhi Leaders Declaration has been brought about. We are one earth, one family, and we share one future. So this is the assertion which the leaders, the G20, now it is becoming the G21, with the advent of African Union on the proposal of India, the chair for this year, African Union has become yet another member of the G20 compact. So we, the leaders of G20, met in New Delhi on 9-10 September 2023 under the theme Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We met at a defining moment in history where the decisions we make now will determine the future of our people and our planet. It is with the philosophy of living in harmony with our surrounding ecosystem that we commit to concrete actions to address global challenges. So the Indic paradigm has been interspersed in such a very refined and a progressive and a futuristic manner that it's such a pleasing read out there. And we will be going through this masterclasses in that conventional, rigorous way of reading para by para and explaining to you so that you can get a purport of it all. This hour and a half, 2 hours, we will be devoting to these clauses so that it becomes a part of our cerebrum, our own wisdom matrix, very integrally. G20 cooperation is essential in determining the course the world takes, because 85% of the economical bandwidth is held by these 20 nations, 19 plus 2 as we say now, 19 countries, European Union as one single bloc, and now the African Union. Headwinds to global economic growth and stability persist. there is a lot of instability. We all know the VUCA word, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And as youngsters, we would be facing much more volatility and uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity than the senior ones. So somewhere or the other, this is the future of learning, which we are entering into as to how things are going to evolve and how we have to steer through to attain sthirta amidst the chaos, whatever we have. Years of cascading challenges and crises have reversed the gains in the 2030 agenda and its sustainable developmental goals. Global greenhouse gas emissions continue to increase. So this is the concern the leaders have brought about. We have been hearing a lot about the Kyoto protocols, the Paris agreements, a host of various multilateral fora where they are talking about sustainable developmental goals, the UN SDGs, and also they are off the track. That is what the concern is being raised. So emissions continue to increase with climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, drought, land degradation, and desertification threatening lives and livelihoods. One more thing, when the spirit of this masterclass, the spirit of unraveling the global agenda to you youngsters is not to unnerve you, is not to make you fear. It is like once we get hold of the stark reality, we somewhere are better equipped to handle it. So preparedness is the whole purpose of it all. The way we saw the COVID pandemic, all of a sudden the schools were shut down. We had to do online classes or in different modes. We had to adapt ourselves. But then the world moved on. The vaccine was invented and a host of other things happened. So these kind of black swan events, as we call it, once in a while, they will keep on happening more and more in times to come. So as youngsters, as students from 6th grade onwards, where the primary education has been fulfilled, I think this is a kind of an initiation. This is a kind of an orientation where even if you don't aspire to become a diplomat, wherever you function, you might be going to opt for your father's family business in your lovely hometown. No worries with that. But then that also gets affected by these global undercurrents. So having a hang of it all while you are still a student, you have all the time of the world to understand it, to internalize it. So that is the whole purpose behind these engagements, what we are undertaking. So ये जो सारी समस्याएं यहाँ हो रही हैं, this is what they have recognized. Rising commodity prices, including food and energy prices, are contributing to the cost of living pressures. Global challenges like poverty and inequality, climate change, pandemics, and conflicts disproportionately affect especially the women and children and the most vulnerable. So this is what a realization in the preamble has been made. And together we have an opportunity to build a better future. Just energy transitions can improve jobs and livelihoods and strengthen economic resilience. There's a lot of talk about moving from the fossil fuels to the clean fuel, the wind energy, the solar energy, so on and so forth. So that has been encapsulated into a term called energy transition. In these global discourse, whatever you will feel, there will be a lot of terms will be coming to you. You can make a note of them and try to familiarize yourself more and more with those terms rather than skipping them like a speed breaker. Stop for a while, slow down your comprehension speed, and then jump over that complexity a bit milder ways, not to give jerk to your intellectual matrix deep within. So this, we affirm that no country should have to choose between fighting poverty and fighting for our planet. We will pursue development models that implement sustainable, inclusive, and just transitions globally while leaving no one behind. So this is the spirit that all the 7 billion plus humans on the planet, Indian thought has even taken the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom along with. So somewhere or the other, one planet, that spirit of one planet is expounded later on. Because this G20 declaration is a kind of a summary of the entire Indic civilized national ethos. So, and in the global context. So, and you could have seen that the dinner what the Rashtrapati ji threw for the world leaders, the way we saw the leaders walk, the way the whole world came rushing to India and is having their. So that is the spirit what it is putting across. The part clause 5 of the preamble, as leaders of G20, the premier global forum for international economic cooperation. This is primarily a forum of economic cooperation. This is not like the UN Security Council where the global political issues are discussed more from a security perspective. We resolve to act in concrete ways through partnerships. So what the G20 leaders have committed themselves to is to accelerate a strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. A lot of adjectives. Now, each of these words has a meaning. We are not saying, we are not expecting from you to understand them in one go, internalize them in one go. But yes, keep them somewhere. You don't have to even mug up them. But growth, economic growth की हम बात करते हैं, but economic growth has to be strong. Balanced is all about the environment and economy has to come hand in hand. So let's familiarize ourselves. The whole idea is let's familiarize with this global discourse, because this is what, when you will become leaders in your own spaces, when you will be growing up, going to the profession, handling the word. So this is all you will be encountering. So why not learn it right away? So accelerating the full and effective implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Pursue low GHG greenhouse gases or low carbon emissions, climate resilient and environmentally sustainable development pathways by championing an integrated and inclusive approach. So integral thought has been very, very integral to India. So integrated and inclusive. Integrated thinking is all about, like your NEP 2020 has talked about breaking the silos of various subjects per se. The science teacher can bring in, can summon the social sciences in one go, and without the linguistic foundations, whatever you have, or without the numeracy foundations, both the sciences and social sciences won't be functioning. So the integral view, ek samagrata ka jo chintan hai, body as a system is an integral view. Yes, we have heart, we have liver, we have digestive system, but they all work in tandem. So that is the whole spirit what this summit has for the first time incorporated in its discourse. And over the years, this will deepen up and this will change the way policies are made, and we will see a lot of transformation around us. So we can become a part of this thought process by understanding it, by leveraging it in our own ways. So we will urgently accelerate our actions to address development and climate challenges and promote lifestyles for sustainable development and conserve biodiversity, forest and oceans. So a very significant chunk of today's concern is all about climate change. The way we have exploited the natural resources as if there are n number of planets. Yes, we are going to the moon. We are making our Chandrayans, or the other countries are also doing it, but still it's a long way. The Star Wars kind of colonizing the extraterrestrial areas. So this realization ki ek hi dharti hai. So us systems approach mein they are talking about lifestyles for sustainable development, and this life Prime Minister released an op-ed, and very beautifully he said that kya karna chahiye. Democratizing climate change is very important. Yes, there are young heroes who are shouting at the top of their voices to make the world leaders, I would say, like Greta Thunberg. From India also we have a lot of youngsters. So that is a different part. But मेरे अपने जीवन में मैं अपनी life को कैसे अपने परिवेश के अनुसार, how can I live that life? So democratizing, the responsibility is on me, how I am contributing to it. कि मेरे को plastic कम से कम मैं use कर सकता हूँ. Can we club our plastics, the domestic waste, into organic and inorganic to begin with, and organic can be put somewhere closer. At least plastic के अंदर organic कूड़ा बंद करके seal करके जो भेजने की परंपरा है, at least at the domestic level we can think of the waste segregation. So something we have to start doing with that. तो यह भी objective है कि हम ये पूरा जो narrative है, this is not a 50,000 feet view कि only in Amitabh Kant Sahab, the ex-CEO of a Niti Ayog or a Prime Minister is able to comprehend. This is for each one of us. Each one of us who have attained a basic level of literacy and numeracy. And that is where Rethink India believes in democratizing these complex and dense narratives, giving you the key to read them, understand them, and make you, I would say, fall in love with such dense narratives. It's like a OTT platform kind of an involved movie. Maybe within your friends, you start talking on these terms and terminologies and take the discourse forward. हमारे पास समय की कमी कहाँ है? So then they're talking about improves access to medical countermeasures and facilitate more supplies and production capacities in developing countries to prepare better for future health emergencies. And this comes from the Indian vantage point. The way we produced vaccines and we had the vaccine diplomacy. We sent, despite being the most populous nation on the planet, we had our own requirement. But at the same time, we felt the pain of the other countries. And with that empathy in place, India proposed the name of African Union to be made a member of this elite club of the G20 boys. So India has the term which is being used about the developing countries is the new term which they are called. There was a term called emerging world, but now it is called the global south. So the voice of the global south, India has really become a leader. और सबको सर्व समावेशी विकास का जो भाव है. So this is what they have put across in the preamble itself. Then they are talking about promote resilient growth by urgently and effectively addressing debt vulnerabilities in developing countries. These saw the state of affairs in Sri Lanka, our neighbor. So the China's brick and road project is being criticized because they are spinning it out to expand their empire, and they are with their insidious ways, they are bringing nations into debt traps. So how the global, together with how the countries can be moved away from debt vulnerabilities. So this is what one of the goals they have kept. A top level macro view, like the preamble of the Indian Constitution, the preamble to the G20 New Leaders Declaration is very, very, very important because it encapsulates the entire 112 documents down the line, which you will be picking up one or the other, or the various other sections or clauses we'll be going through. And scaling up finances from all sources for accelerating progress on SDGs, the Sustainable Developmental Goals, 17 of them, we all largely know about them. Accelerate efforts and enhance resources towards achieving the Paris Agreement, including its temperature goal. So the lingo, if you see it, is intertwined. Now you have to understand what is Paris Agreement, when it was signed, what were the key components of it all. But they have put up कि भाई जो global warming है, we will keep it under this level in one way or the other. So we have to do development, but development has to be sustainable. Development, we cannot just consume our planet and in just one go, bingo. So this is a concern for all of us in every discourse. Can we think at the institutional level? And the whole aspect, the whole, ReThink India is hosting a conference at the Himalayan hamlet of Kausani on this 25th of September. And that has been, that is named as the Integral Humanism Forum. So one of the core central crux of G20 Leaders Declaration is internationalized humanism. So human-centric approach has been brought in for the first time. Ideologically, you might be aware that there were two camps in the Cold War. One was the individualistic capitalism, where meri growth kitni hai, I will become multi-billionaire, a zillionaire. So that is what we celebrate that. On the other extreme was extreme collectivism, where you cannot own even a small piece of property for your own survival. So these two extremes, these two bipoles, India always civilizationally has talked about a balance of two. We need individual, I would say, freedoms, liberties to access, but we should also have a responsibility towards the collective whole. So that is a human-centric approach what India has championed. Our family system is quite a resilient example of it all. The mother takes care of the interest of both her kids. You might have seen in the family that how she acts as a diplomat and balances the competing requirements of both or more of her kids. So this this is what we wanted to put across. Ki humane-centric thought process is so very central to this entire discourse. Pursue reforms. There's a lot of term about reforms. Reforms for what? There is a form, we deform and we reform. So reform objective. One of the very core things you will learn as a part of these master classes, at least get a hang of it all, is question the denotations. बहुत सारे शब्दों के कुछ अर्थ हमारे मन में बैठ जाते हैं और हम आलस करते हैं. आलस्यम ही मनुष्याणाम शरीरस्थो महारिपु. So we feel lazy and we don't want to go consult a dictionary. Now we have on our smartphones the best, I would say, tools for researching and searching. तो अगर वो शब्द का मीनिंग अगर हमें मिल जाएगा तो I think our knowledge network, our neural networks will grow phenomenally well. Our understanding will become at a different level. It is not the quantity, it is the quality of your understanding which matters all the more. So the multilateral development banks they're talking about, we all know about the World Bank. One of the Indian persons of Indian origin has now been appointed as the president of the World Bank per se, but a lot of BRICS Bank came into place, a lot of Asian Developmental Bank, we know about it. So these developmental banks, they get a capital from the partner countries and then they support infrastructure development and all that stuff. So that is a different matter, but that is what they are talking about. Improve access to digital services, digital public infrastructure, and leverage digital transformation. Now, these are not just words. There are reams and reams of papers, a very complex process of digital transformation. I'll give you an example. If your school has to embark upon that futuristic yardstick of digital transformation, it's a whole process out there, and your school would have achieved it over the past few years in a big way, and COVID certainly accentuated that. So try to read, try to understand, pick these words, pick these phrases, meditate over them, discuss with your friends, and try to correlate with your subject matters also, whatever grades you are into. Whatever you are reading, you will find these terms over and over again. This is the lingo. This is the global discourse into which you will be going forward. And then everywhere you will see sustainable and inclusive growth. So try to read it up, try to understand it across. So that is what the whole exercise is, to cement, to evolve your learning quotient in a phenomenal fashion. So then they are talking about employment ki hum baat karte hain. Again, there are a lot of adjectives if you see. Sustainable, quality, healthy, safe, and gainful employment. So this is what the global thought process is all about. Ki, people are talking ki bhai gig employment ho jaye. It has to be sustainable. Aap gig economy mein 4 din aapko paisa mil jayega, uske baad nahi milega, how it will function. So that is what they are talking about. Closing gender gaps and promote the full, equal, effective, and meaningful participation of women in the economy as decision makers. There's a lot of grapevine that maybe in the next special parliament session, the long pending request or demand of women's reservation in the parliament is so due. So as we saw, a lot of our Indian ministries or Indian agencies are now being women-led. There is a stark difference in thinking. So this is, you can think about how your father thinks, how your mother thinks. If you have a sister or if you have a brother, contrast it ki how the genders think. So Bharat ne kabhi bhi tukde mein nahi dekha integral. Male and female things are important, but there are legacy issues. So this is what G20 wants to address. Better integrate the perspectives of developing countries, including the least developed countries. They are called as LDCs, landlocked developing countries, LLDCs, and small island developing countries. This is one category of it into future of G20 agenda, and strengthen the voice of developing countries into global decision making. They cannot be because the days of colonialism are over. There are all independent, sovereign countries over there. The people are deciding for themselves, so their concerns have to be taken forward. So the clause 6 of the preamble, it says, through these actions today, we are building towards a system that better empowers to countries to address global challenges, is human-centric, I explained it earlier, and brings prosperity and well-being to humanity. It is not just one country which is ruling over the other. It can extract the resources. It can make the populace over there as paupers. There were some snide comments when India landed on the Chandrayaan. Why are you getting the aid from the British Empire if you can send a moon mission? So some of the countermeasures, they said, is Britain ready to return back, repatriate the drain of wealth what it orchestrated in 200 odd years of its loot of the Republic of India? So that is what the global table, the global ghabasan as we call, keeps on happening. So this was the preamble part of it all. This is the geopolitical segment, some around 7 to 14. These are the important clauses. The core is today's era must not be a war. I won't be reading it out verbatim because one very important thing you might have seen, even if this G20 is a separate grouping, it created its own secretariat, it had its own budget, whatever. There are talks that India spent somewhere around 4,100 crores, rough remarks, but that might be a political figure which might have come. But it has interspersed the UN, it has interspersed the OECD, it has interspersed the various other climate protocols over there. So ये जो पूरा section, special section है for the planet, people, peace and prosperity, this was put in the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. क्योंकि उसको अगर रोका नहीं गया और बहुत सारे टेंशन्स थे और चाइना नहीं आया, चाइना के हेड ऑफ द स्टेट जी जिनपिंग दिल्ली नहीं आए, रशिया President Vladimir Putin, he did not come. They send their emissary, that's another part, but the head of the state, that this is the forum for them. So, बहुत tensions है. The world is on the brink of precipitating. कुछ ऐसे incidents हो जाएं, जैसे हम इतिहास में पढ़ते हैं कि ऑस्ट्रिया के जो one of the leaders of Austria was accidentally assassinated and the World War to it precipitated. तो ऐसी कोई घटना अगर हो तो de-escalation is very important. और ये बहुत सुंदर declaration around 7 clauses the G20 leaders have come through. अगर मैं उल्टा से पढ़ूं तो we call on all states to uphold the principles of international law, including जैसे आपके प्रिंसिपल, आपके क्लास टीचर, युद्ध हो जाता है अगर आपस में दो बच्चों के बीच में, तो दे ट्राई टू इन्वोक सर्टेन प्रिंसिपल. सबसे पहले उनको दूर करते हैं, फिर अलग अलग उनके इश्यूज को सुनते हैं. देयर आर सर्टेन एस्टैब्लिश्ड प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ डी एस्केलेशन, डी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्रिएशन. सो इंटरनेशनल अरीना भी लगभग उसी तरीके से काम करता है जैसे क्लास में दो बुलीज आपस में झगड़ते हैं. तो द ह्यूमन माइंडसेट इज द सेम. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इट इज ऑल ह्यूमन रिलेशंस ऑल अक्रॉस. तो जो है कि टेरिटोरियल इंटेग्रिटी इज अ वेल एस्टैब्लिश्ड प्रिंसिपल. Sovereignty is a established principle in international law. International humanitarian law and the multilateral system कि भाई बातचीत करो, कोई दिक्कत है तो लड़ाई झगड़े पे पिटाई मत करो. Let's talk, de-escalate that multilateral system that safeguards peace and stability. तो ये जो appreciation part है, I was talking in the first masterclass also. I think Madam Chitkara is out here. She was there till the last in that masterclass. The whole purpose for all of you is to appreciate it. Appreciation कब होता है? जब हम अपनी existing realities के साथ में, जो अभी हमारा अनुभव है, whatever level it is, हम उसके साथ इस नए ज्ञान को, इस नई बात को जोड़ सकते हैं, हम इस नई बात को लिंक कर सकते हैं, समझ सकते हैं. Whenever we are able to associate it well, we are appreciating. Now, when we appreciate, then the vistas of applications open up, vistas of innovative applications open up. So the first step is awareness, becoming aware of this dense material. This is one effort. You'll be sharing these slides because we have tried to bring them more graphically rich so that they are more readable rather than the PDF document which you can download from the G20 portal. In one go, it's very difficult. It's like morsels. We have to consume morsel after morsel. If someone tries to feed you the whole plate in one go, it becomes very difficult. So this I would leave it because दो चीजें हैं ये यूक्रेन रशिया कॉन्फ्लिक्ट से हुई है. because after India, China, Ukraine is a big, it's a country of Central Asia. If we go geopolitical space, कि बहुत बड़ा गेहूं का उत्पादक है, wheat. So global food security has got endangered a big way, and the global energy security. In fact, you will be knowing that Russia का जो बहुत बड़ा the winters are approaching, एक साल से ज्यादा अब तो इस युद्ध को हो गया लास्ट ईयर 24th February, it all escalated. And so Russia is one of the leading producers of oil after Saudi Arabia. The Middle East is one part. So global food and energy security has got affected. The supply chains have got disrupted because it's a massively interconnected world. मेरे को याद है जब 9/11 2001 हुआ, I was there as a student at IIT Kharagpur, और हम लोगों के I was just around second year or so, third year. So our seniors who had plans to go to the US, they had their GRE scores with them. They had their applications to the US universities. It all got disrupted in one go. One global incident and the entire visa regime was because एक fear आ गया कि America is under attack. तो आज इतना ज़्यादा interconnected world है कि your destiny, it changes with one global event. और ये बात अगर अपने अनुभव में देखेंगी, क्या कुछ ऐसी घटना हुई हमारे आसपास के परिवेश में या हमारे पेरेंट्स के साथ में which change the course of their lives. So this is where we will be able to appreciate this entire dense content what we are presenting with you today in today's masterclass. So this we will quickly skip through. Now we move on to the very important and the first section of it all, which is about which the G20 leaders have aspired for a strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. Now this is all about economy and economic growth they are talking about. And they are starting with the fact that we recognize it starts from here. Cascading crises have posed challenges for long-term growth. COVID आया, COVID के बाद ये war आ गई, तो क्राइसिस क्या हो रहा है, कैस्केड हो रहा है. जो लॉन्ग टर्म ग्लोबल ग्रोथ है उस पे चैलेंजेस आ गए हैं, और उसके बाद में जो पीछे से जो एजेंट्स हैं, द काइंड ऑफ global imperialism what the countries like China are endeavoring to become some kind of a global superpower by subduing the interests. They occupied a huge chunk of our land in the Ladakh sector. Our valiant Jawans, they fought valiantly and defended our territory, every inch of it, but the tensions are very high over there. If there is a peace, if there is a de-escalation, those resources, those focus of governance can be used for the other constructive purposes. But किसी को है कि मैं हड़प लूं, तो मुझे भी अपने डिफेंस के लिए leaving aside my own developmental concerns, I have to go over there. So facing an uneven recovery, COVID में 2 साल तो एकदम से धड़ाम करके पूरा विश्व की इकोनॉमी नीचे चली गई. We all know, and many of us would have faced a lot of pain in our personal lives also. So this is the appreciation we all have. So, and they are saying that the leaders are cognizant of the need to boost long-term growth. So they are saying, they're resolving that we will implement a well-calibrated macroeconomic and structural policies. We will protect the vulnerable through promoting equitable growth. दोस्तों एक और बात मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि इस पूरी प्रक्रिया से अगर आप एक इनिशिएटर स्टूडेंट हैं, योर लैंग्वेज विल इंप्रूव फिनोमिनली वेल, बिकॉज इतनी सारी टर्म्स हैं यहाँ पर, शायद हम लोग अपनी टेक्स्ट बुक्स आज उतनी गहराई से नहीं पढ़ते हैं, बट इफ वी विल पार्टिसिपेट, विल गो थ्रू दिस, so each and every word of it all is replete with a lot of meaning. So I think from your linguistic point of view also, it's a terrific exercise, and you should I would encourage you to take it on very, very seriously. We will protect the vulnerable through promoting equitable growth. Equitable का मतलब है कि सभी included हों, equity हो. Equality and equity is again a debate, a balancing factor. आप लोग उसको समझिएगा. Pose questions to your teachers, and at least they should feel कि अरे भैया ये लोग क्या नए-नए सवाल हमसे पूछ रहे हैं. But that is what a learning ecosystem is all about. And today the word education is on your smartphones, on your laptops. So make use of the technological advances rather than, I would say, splurging that very critical time of yours on things which are not adding value to your own IQ and your personality. So such an approach will help resolve the cost of living crisis. ये बहुत बड़ा crisis है. Cost of living crisis has come up. Commodity pricing has increased. लोग अपना दैनिक दिन का जीवन नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. पेट्रोल फ्यूल प्राइसेस इतने ज्यादा बढ़ गए, तो G20 leaders have taken cognizance of it, and they are saying that we will unlock strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. So again आप देखोगे जहां growth word आया, उन्होंने वो सारे adjectives यहाँ पिरो दिए. तो वही बात, वही फ्रेजियोलॉजी, वही प्रिसेप्ट्स बार बार आएंगे, तो आई थिंक वी विल गेट हैक ऑफ इट। अगर हम अच्छे से इनको पढ़ पाए एंड समझ पाए तो we will I would say reverberate with the global lingo. Young Sherpas, young diplomats, we will really become. Global economic growth is below its long-term average and remains uneven. The uncertainty around the outlook remains high. एक और मैं बात आपसे कहना चाहूंगा कि जो वर्ड ऑफ फाइनेंस है और वर्ड ऑफ फॉरेन अफेयर्स है, द रमिंग पार्ट, इनमें बहुत सारी जो बातें हैं बड़ी क्रिप्टिक लैंग्वेज में होती है, सीधे सीधे बात नहीं कही जाती हैं। उसके दो कारण हैं। एक तो जो कॉम्प्लेक्स रियलिटी, इट इज नॉट अ विलेज इकोनॉमी, इट इज अ ग्लोबल लेवल पे आप बात कर रहे हो, तो एक तो द स्केल इज वेरी हाई, तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी एब्स्ट्रैक्ट डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स, कंप्यूटर साइंस में आप लोग पढ़ोगे जब आप जाओगे, तो एब्स्ट्रैक्शंस करे जाते हैं, एनकैप्सुलेशंस किए जाते हैं कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी को। और दूसरी बड़ी बात क्या है कि समवेयर और दी अदर द पावर इज वेस्टेड इन अ फ्यू हैंड्स। ये जो डोमेन्स रहे हैं, फॉरेन अफेयर्स, इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस, शुरू में तो लगता है कि भाई, but these are the disciplines which actually wield the real power. They remain the movers and shakers of it all. टेक्नोलॉजी आपने बना दी, स्टेबलाइज हो गई, सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है। अब उसके बाद में जो जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक प्ले है कि इस टेक्नोलॉजी के बल पर हम कैसे दिग्विजय करेंगे, विश्व विजय करेंगे, सो दीज आर द माइंड्स विच वर्क ऑन टॉप ऑफ इट। सो आपका करियर एस्पिरेशन एक टेक्नोक्रेट का हो, बहुत अच्छा है, यू विल बी लैंडिंग अप एट अ गुड सैलरी, यू विल बी बिकमिंग अ गुड फाइनेंशियल जार। बट अगर आपके पास ये जियोपॉलिटिकल आउटलुक आपकी फाउंडेशन में है, तो आई थिंक यू विल बी मेकिंग मच बिगर यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ दैट टेक्निकल और मैनेजरियल स्किल ऑफ योर्स। तो ये बैकग्राउंडिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। इफ यू विल सी सम ऑफ द टॉप नॉच पावर विल्डर्स अक्रॉस, सो दे सरपास दैट लेवल। तो दिस वाज अ स्मॉल पार्ट वी वांटेड टू पुट अक्रॉस। तो ये जो आउटलुक, अब आउटलुक क्या, आउटलुक, पर्सपेक्टिव, आउटलुक, ये हमें समझना पड़ेगा। ये टर्मिनोलॉजी के साथ अगर आत्मसात हो जाएंगे हम, डोंट स्किप दीज टर्म्स। जहां पे स्पीड ब्रेकर आ गया कॉम्प्रिहेंशन का, रुक जाइए, टेक आउट योर टाइम, कहीं से और चुरा लीजिए उस समय को, बट यहां पढ़ लेंगे तो ये फिर, बिकॉज योर नॉलेज नेटवर्क विल बिल्ड अप लेयर बाय लेयर। तो अगर आपने यहां रोक दिया तो फिर आप बहुत सारे और कॉन्सेप्ट्स यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू कॉम्प्रीहेंड, एंड वो your learning quotient will remain lesser, with notable tightening in global financial conditions, which would worsen debt vulnerabilities, persistent inflation, and geo-economic tensions. The balance of risk remains tilted to the downside. This is what, यानी कि ग्रोथ पीछे की तरफ ही रहेगी. We therefore reiterate the need for well-calibrated monetary, fiscal, financial, and structural policies to promote growth. एक और मैं बात आपसे कहना चाहूंगा, many of you would be aspiring for the civil services examination, some of the higher ones post your graduation. उस समय आप ये सब जो terms and terminologies, if you're taking economics, you will be understanding their class book or a theoretical definition of it. हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव आपको उतना डेप्थ में ले जाने का नहीं है. एक जनरल अवेयरनेस, अ सेंस ऑफ थिंग्स, अ फील ऑफ थिंग्स भी अगर हमारे पास में है तो वी विल कॉम्प्रीहेंड मच बेटर. व्हाट इज मॉनेटरी, विच इज रिलेटेड टू मनी, जो आरबीआई कंट्रोल करता है. व्हाट इज फिस्कल, जो कि सरकार डिफाइन करती है, भारत सरकार डिफाइन करती है, अपनी रेगुलेटरी स्ट्रक्चर से डिफाइन करती है. हमें एग्जैक्ट टेक्स्ट बुक डेफिनेशन होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. जैसे कि डी ब्रोगलीज का प्रिंसिपल, अगर आप में से हायर क्लासेस के विद्यार्थी हैं, द अनसर्टेनिटी प्रिंसिपल, कि भाई मास और वेलोसिटी को डिटर्मिनिस्टिकली, मोमेंटम और वेलोसिटी को डिटर्मिनिस्टिकली हम नहीं क्वांटिफाई कर सकते. तो सारे मीनिंग्स को बिल्कुल बिंगो पॉइंट पे पहचान, उसके कर्व में, मतलब मीनिंग का फोकस सेंटर में है, पर मुझे फील आ रही है, मेरे को थोड़ा थोड़ा समझ में आ रहा है, दैट इज ऑल्सो गुड इनफ. वी शुड एस्पायर फॉर दैट. कई बार क्या होता है, हम बहुत पेडेंटिक हो जाते हैं, भैया बिल्कुल ही नहीं हम आगे बढ़ेंगे, बट वी शुड डेवलप दैट मैकेनिज्म ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग. आई थिंक अगर हम थोड़ा सा कुछ टेक्स्ट में ये कर पाएंगे तो वी विल बी डूइंग अ फिनोमिनल जॉब. अगेन सेम वर्ड्स, अगर आप देखोगे लगभग वही फ्रेज बार बार आ रहे हैं. रिड्यूस इनइक्वालिटीज, मेंटेन मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक एंड फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी. स्थिरता की बात, स्टेबिलिटी की बात हमेशा कर रहे हैं. We will. Yeah, no worries. So, yes. So they are saying we will continue to enhance macro policy cooperation and support the progress towards the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. बहुत कोई नई बातें नहीं कर रहे हैं, थोड़ी बहुत in principle नई बातें की हैं. Again and again you will see कि जो ग्लोबल कंसेंसस 2030 के एजेंडा पे बना है, G20 उसको रीट्रेट कर रहा है कि हम कैसे एक्शन प्लान्स बनाएं, कैसे इसको लेकर आगे जाएं. We take it forward in a big way, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We reaffirm that achieving strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. Again, same term, जो strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive. So आपको एक question पूछा जा सकता है, what are the 4 facets of growth? It has to be strong, feeble नहीं, strong. It has to be sustainable, continuous, sustainability होनी चाहिए, balanced growth चाहिए, inclusive growth चाहिए. So they have put up the strong terminology here. Will require policymakers to stay agile and flexible in their policy response, as evidenced during the recent banking turbulence in a few advanced economies, where expeditious action by relevant authorities helped to maintain financial stability and manage spillovers. We welcome the initial steps taken by the Financial Stability Board, standard setting bodies and certain jurisdictions to examine what lessons can be learned from this recent banking turbulence and encourage them to advance their ongoing work. We will use macro-prudential policies where required to safeguard against downside risk. हम लोग पढ़ते हैं कि बैंक फेल हो गया, तो बैंक फेल हो गया तो क्या किया जाए, एकदम से लोगों का जो डिपॉजिट किया हुआ है वो हिल गया, सिलिकॉन बैंक ऑफ यूएस अमेरिका तक में बैंक फेल हो गया. सो द गवर्नमेंट्स अपने जो कॉफर्स के साथ में बैंक्स को बेल आउट करती हैं, भले ही उनके फाउंडर्स को, उनके प्रमोटर्स को जेल में भेज देती हैं फॉर देयर रॉन्ग डूइंग्स. इंडिया सॉ अ लॉट ऑफ बैंक फेलियर्स, यस बैंक वी हैड एन एग्जांपल. तो ये उसके अराउंड ये आपको कुछ कुछ आइडियाज दे रहा है. तो ये पूरा का पूरा जो पैराग्राफ है कि we reaffirm the April 2021 exchange rate commitment made by our finance ministers and central bank governors. तो ये finance track की थोड़ी सी बातें हैं. Finance is complex. MBA में कहते हैं कि भैया कौन सी फील्ड लेनी है. So the most exciting one becomes the marketing part, the advertising board, the creative space. But finance is again is very core mathematical and very intertwined over there. तो उसके लिए आपको इसको एक और बात मैं कहूंगा कि कभी भी एक रीडिंग में आपको ये नहीं समझ में आएगा. When we will be reading of the chairman summary, outcome documents, हमको reread and reread at least 3 times when we will be reading them, taking a printout of them. That is called the real dense reading to really get with the purport of it all. फिर ये लोग प्राइवेट एंटरप्राइजेस की वैल्यू को यहाँ रिकॉग्नाइज कर रहे हैं एज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस डिक्लेरेशन कि ग्रोथ को एक्सेलरेट करने के लिए और सस्टेनेबल इकोनॉमिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशंस भी रिकॉग्नाइज द रोल ऑफ प्राइवेट एंटरप्राइजेस एंड टू फैसिलिटेट देम we resolve to work with private sector to create inclusive, sustainable and resilient global value chains and support developing countries to move up the value chain. Because it's an interconnected world, goods and materials, even professionals, they are moving from one place to the other. So yeah, global supply chain is a big word. Value chain is a big buzzword you will encounter again and again. Facilitate investments, including foreign direct investments, towards sustainable business models. Devise pipelines of investable projects in developing countries by leveraging expertise of MDBs to mobilize investments. Promote the ease and reduce the cost of doing business. Cost of business, ease of doing business, we talk. World Bank has done away with its ratings, the ease of doing business, we have been talking a lot about it. So we recognize that startups and MSMEs, again, are natural engines of growth. They are key to socio-economic transformation by driving innovation and creating employment. We welcome the establishment of the Startup Trade Engagement Group during India's G20. Now, मैं एक बात आपको यहाँ पे कंटेंशियस बात कहने जा रहा हूँ. बहुत फ्लारी बातें हैं, बहुत इनोबलिंग बातें हैं यहाँ पर अगर हम उसको रियलिटी के साथ उसका ताना बाना जोड़ेंगे तो प्रतीत होगा कि between this talk and the walk, the reality is far different over there. For example, startups और MSMEs. MSMEs अगर हम देखेंगे कन्वेंशनली इंडिया में 40 लाख से ऊपर MSMEs हुआ करती थी और हुआ करती हैं. Startups are the ones who are the new generation enterprises and they are largely built up by a lot of FDIs. जितने भी हम 100+ unicorns की बात सुनते हैं, a lot of foreign capital is coming over there. तो टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट के कारण हुआ यह है कि जो कन्वेंशनल बिजनेसेस हैं, दे हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू कैच अप विद द स्पीड एंड पेस ऑफ कंपीटिंग विद द ग्लोबल कॉर्पोरेशंस. और टेक्नोलॉजी ने और जो रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम में चेंजेस आए हैं वो उन्होंने क्या किया है कि जो बिग कॉर्पोरेशंस हैं, दे हैव टेकन ओवर द मार्केट्स डीप विद इन. तो आप छोटे से गांव में भी हैं या छोटे से शहर में भी हैं, अगर आप एक छोटा सा एनालिसिस करेंगे कि भाई मेरी लोकल ब्रांड्स जो थी, मैं कितना उन लोकल ब्रांड्स का कंजम्पशन कर रहा हूं इंक्रीजिंगली, मे बी एक जनरेशन में जो चेंज है विद योर पेरेंट्स और योर ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स, यू विल फाइंड अ स्टार्क डिफरेंस. तो ये क्लॉज तो बहुत अच्छा है, बट इन ऑर्डर टू एम्पावर द MSMEs rooted to the local culture, there is a clause, we will just be reading it, they have put up a, तो यहाँ पे आप लोगों का रोल आता है as students, as young entrepreneurs, young Sherpas as we are calling it, because आप लोगों को लगेगा ये तो बात अच्छी है, ग्लोबल बात कही है, पर रियलिटी में ये नहीं है. हाउ टू डू द हैंडशेक. सो वी विल अप्रिशिएट इट अ बिट लेटर, बट बहुत सारी बातें केवल बातों के लिए हैं, बट उनकी रियलिटी करने के लिए कंसर्टेड एफर्ट इज रिक्वायर्ड इन अ बिग वे. Then the second section is unlocking trade for growth. Trade, commerce, what we understand is, so they are saying that we recognize trade में बात ये कह रहे हैं कि rules based, non-discriminatory, fair, open, inclusive, और जितने adjectives हो सकते हैं उन्होंने यहाँ पे WTO को लेकर डाल दिया है. दिन भर हम लोग अखबारों में न्यूज पढ़ते हैं कि भाई हिंदुस्तान में जैसे ही किसी फूड कमोडिटी के प्राइसेस बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ गए तो भारत सरकार उस पर इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी जो है बढ़ा देती है, क्योंकि बाहर के देश, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ प्राइसेस बढ़े हुए हैं, तो बाहर के देश अगर उसको हमारे पास भेजेंगे दे विल बी टेकिंग लेवरेज ऑफ इट. तो ये एक तरह का टग ऑफ वॉर ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी में, मार्केट्स में चलता रहता है. तो बट कैसे ट्रेड में एक रूल्स बेस्ड लाइन ये अगेन उन्होंने एस्टैब्लिश किया है. बातें कही जाती हैं पर जो दादा है जिसके पास पावर ज्यादा है ग्लोबल वर्ल्ड में भी, वो बुली करता है, वो अपने इंटरेस्ट को कभी भी डाउनग्रेड नहीं होने देना चाहता है. तो दे हैव टेकन अ लॉट ऑफ कमिटमेंट्स कि भाई वी आर रिन्यूइंग अवर कमिटमेंट टू एंश्योर अ लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड एंड फेयर कंपटीशन. सो जिससे फार्मर्स कहते हैं कि हमको मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस मिलना चाहिए बिकॉज वी आर फाइटिंग थ्रू द वेगरीज ऑफ नेचर and uncertainty over there. तो these are the larger debates, पर उसके pointers यहाँ पर हैं कि मुद्दे क्या हैं. वो मुद्दे हमें यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रहे हैं. WTO की पूरी बात इस पूरे सेक्शन में है, because that is a world trade organization. So they are saying कि भाई WTO reform भी होना चाहिए. Just a 30-year-old organization, but reforms की आवश्यकता आ गई to improve its function through an inclusive member-driven processes. Many of the WTO regulations we feel that they have not been able to be implemented well in place. अभी ये लोग इसमें बात कर रहे हैं कि recognize the challenges which MSMEs, particularly in developing countries, which they are facing with respect to access to information, and thus become welcome Jaipur call for action for enhancing MSMEs access to information to promote. एक और मैं यहाँ पे बात कहूँगा, बहुत बार ये इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ के लिए MSMEs को बहुत बड़ा रोल बताया गया है. एट रीथिंक इंडिया वी बिलीव कि MSMEs और स्टार्टअप्स के बीच में एक बड़ा अच्छा तारतम्य हो सकता है. इन आवर स्कूल्स a large segment of our students, they come from business background. They might be traders, they might be small manufacturers. At the end of the day, they are MSMEs of some sort. जो employed parents हैं जिन बच्चों के, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट कैटेगरी ऑल टुगेदर, बट उनको भी लगता है कि भाई आगे चल के एम्प्लॉयमेंट तो नहीं है, आई हैव टू ऑल्सो एंटर इनटू सम काइंड ऑफ अ बिजनेस। तो व्हाट वी कैन डू इज, ये जो टीम्स बने यंग शेपर्स की या जो भी प्रोसेस हम करें, लेट्स हैव डाइवर्स पीपल। एक बच्चा शायद एक प्रोफेशनल बैकग्राउंड से आ जाए जहाँ पे स्टेबल इनकम है, फिक्स्ड इनकम है। एक बच्चा अपना एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग या जो भी अपने बैकग्राउंड से आता है, तो डाइवर्स इकोनॉमिक बैकग्राउंड से टीचर्स कैन प्ले अ बिग रोल इन फैसिलिटेटिंग। दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव गॉट अ फैकल्टी कोऑर्डिनेटर कि भाई ये मिक्स एंड मैच जब होगा तो उनके जो फेल्ट एक्सपीरियंसेस होंगे, क्योंकि ये जो हम करने जा रहे हैं कोई थ्योरेटिकल एक्सरसाइज नहीं है, ये कोई रट कर वॉमिट कर देना एग्जाम में और कुछ नंबर ले आना, वैसा कोई कार्यक्रम नहीं है। दिस इज अ स्कूल ऑफ लाइफ व्हाट वी आर प्रपोजिंग। तो अलग अलग इकोनॉमिक बैकग्राउंड से अगर बच्चे आते हैं तो दे कैन रिलेट इट वेरी वेरी वेल, दे कैन अप्रिशिएट इट वेरी वेरी वेल, क्योंकि घर में बिकॉज देयर एग्जिस्टेंस, उनके स्कूल की फीस उस बिजनेस के रनिंग से आ रही है, तो दे आर हियरिंग अ लॉट फ्रॉम देयर पेरेंट्स, जो कि शायद एक प्रोफेशनल या एक सैलरीड एम्प्लॉई से, वी आर नॉट सेइंग एनीथिंग इज इंफीरियर और सुपीरियर, वी आर जस्ट सेइंग कि हैविंग अ डाइवर्स ग्रुप, दैट इज आल्सो डाइवर्सिटी in a big manner. So they are also talking about the adoption of G20 generic framework for mapping of global value chains, high-level principles on digitalization of trade documents, will make efforts to encourage implementation, and trade and environment policy should be mutually supportive. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम किसी एक देश को, किसी एक इलाके का ट्रेड करने में उसका मिनरल ही खत्म कर दें। अगर लिथियम आयन बैटरीज की बात आ रही है, कोबाल्ट अगर हमें लाना है और कोबाल्ट में अफ्रीका का कोई देश है, तो उस पूरे देश को ही हमने तबाह कर दिया। सो समवेयर और द अदर एनवायरमेंट हैज टू कम, सो एटलीस्ट द प्रिंसिपल्स आर बीइंग एनंशिएटेड, एटलीस्ट रिजॉल्व इज बीइंग मेड। उसकी फंक्शनिंग क्या हो रही है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट मैटर ऑल टुगेदर, बट कम से कम बातें एक डिक्लेरेशन में तो आई। एंड द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ WTO's aid for trade initiative to enable developing countries, notably LDCs. तो आप लोग जो भी वर्क स्ट्रीम चूज करेंगे डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर इंटरेस्ट, योर करियर एस्पिरेशंस, उसके तत्वाधान में, उसकी लाइट में दिस G20 डिक्लेरेशन वुड बी मोर कॉम्प्रिहेंडेबल फॉर यू। आप टूरिज्म की बात करेंगे तो आप उसमें से वो सारे पॉइंट्स चुग लेंगे जो कि टूरिज्म से संबंधित है, बट देन even if tourism is at the center, it has to work with trade, it has to work with environment. अगर गर्मी पड़ रही है, अगर डेल्यूज जो इस बार हिमाचल का आया और क्लाइमेट क्राइसिस के कारण जो वहां पे तबाही मची है, तो वहां का तो सारा टूरिज्म ही तबाह हो गया। तो जो सस्टेनेबल टूरिज्म की बात आ रही है, विश्व टूरिज्म दिवस, पर्यटन दिवस आ रहा है, तो हमारे यहाँ सस्टेनेबल टूरिज्म की भी बात की जाती है। भारतवर्ष में तो तीर्थाटन, देशाटन और पर्यटन की परंपरा है। वी हैव कंसिडर्ड आवर तीर्थास टू बी सेक्रेड लैंड्स, की वाटर बॉडीज के निकट वी विल नॉट आई वुड से वी विल नॉट हैव टॉयलेट्स और थिंग्स लाइक दैट। सो पवित्रता का जो भाव है वो सिविलाइजेशनल भी है और मॉडर्निटी में भी इन लोगों ने वो बातें रखी हैं। सो इंटीग्रल व्यू है। जितने भी आप सब्जेक्ट्स देख रहे हैं शेरपा ट्रैक के, दे हैव इंटरकनेक्शंस। यू विल बी स्पेशलाइजिंग ऑन वन, बट द इंटरकनेक्शंस डू एग्जिस्ट। और वो इंटरकनेक्शंस जानने के लिए ये जो डिक्लेरेशन का पार्ट है, ये जो 83 क्लॉजेज हैं विच वी आर रीडिंग, विच वी आर डिवाउरिंग इन द नेक्स्ट 5 सेक्शंस में जो डिवाइडेड हैं फॉर द नेक्स्ट 7 days, दे विल गिव अस अ मैक्रो व्यू ऑफ थिंग्स जितना पॉसिबल है। देन प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द फ्यूचर ऑफ वर्क, आई थिंक जो अगर सिंगल मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कंसर्न for the youngsters, not for the teachers, I would say. Teachers have a work for themselves and उनके lifetime में disruption हो रही है। आज teachers are overburdened with continuous evaluation, with lots and lots of expectations from the ecosystem per se, and there is nothing wrong with that. But जो future of work है, इसको हम youngsters को समझना बहुत आवश्यक है। And if we can understand how it will play, because see, automation is happening at a phenomenal rate. Robots are taking over and need of humans for that manual work is reducing, but at the same time a lot of new job roles are improving. तो हमको ये जानना होगा कि कन्वेंशनल रोल्स आज के टाइम पे जो जॉब रोल्स हैं वो अगले 3 साल में नहीं होंगे, एंड द पेस ऑफ देयर डिस्ट्रक्शन विल बी वेरी 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 फास्ट। नाउ सॉफ्टवेयर हैज स्टार्टेड प्रोड्यूसिंग सॉफ्टवेयर। पहले आईटी इंडस्ट्री में पिछले 20 साल मेंटेनेंस की नौकरियां बहुत थी, कि लेगेसी कंप्यूटर सिस्टम्स थे। सो लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ youngsters, they were being paid huge good very attractive salaries, and they were absorbed in the IT industry. अब IT इंडस्ट्री की बात ही कोई नहीं कर रहा है. It has moved to a new era of artificial intelligence. आप में से कितने लोगों ने चैट जीपीटी का अकाउंट बनाया है and you're using it in your own I would say report submissions? Maybe your teachers would be smarter कि भैया चैट जीपीटी से टाप कर लाए हो, you have copied it from there. It's not your original creation. So that's the Turing test again. You please ask your computer science teacher sometime कि how will you differentiate between a AI and a human. हम लोग रीथिंक इंडिया के पार्लेंस में AI को डिफाइन करते हैं augmented intelligence, where we say artificial intelligence plus human intelligence. So artificial intelligence will support human intelligence rather than subsume it. तो ब्लैक मिरर जो नेटफ्लिक्स पे है, जो बातें वहां हो रही हैं, it is at least giving you the extrapolated realities, but वो भी wild imagination is not wrong. तो future of work कैसा होगा? G20 leaders कहते हैं कि we recognize that well integrated and adequately skilled workers benefit origin and destination countries alike and commit to working towards ensuring well managed, regular and skills based micro. ये तो इन्होंने macro view कहा है. वेल इंटीग्रेटेड है, एडिक्वेट. स्किलिंग की बात बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. और मैं एक बात कहूं, एजुकेशन और स्किल्स का जो एक बड़ा डेफिनेटिव आंसर है, डेफिनेटिव डिफरेंस है, वॉट एवर यू आर बीइंग टॉट इन योर स्कूल्स इज लार्जली द एजुकेशन पार्ट ऑफ इट. द बेसिक लिटरेसी, द न्यूमरेसी, द बेसिक जनरल अवेयरनेस, द बेसिक वैल्यूज, वर्च्यूज, सब्जेक्ट डिसिप्लिन की जो फाउंडेशनल प्रिसेप्ट्स और प्रिंसिपल्स हैं. बट व्हेन यू कम to the job, to the field of work, एक बहुत छोटा सेगमेंट आपकी जॉब को डिफाइन करेगा, आपके वर्कलोड, आपकी सैलरी को डिफाइन करेगा. You might be an accountant, you can be a programmer of a particular, you might be a systems level programmer, you might be a algorithmic person. एक ग्रेडेशन है पूरा का पूरा. तो एजुकेशन और स्किल्स के बीच में डिफरेंस समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Today there is a over emphasis on skills and we are somewhere I'm sorry to say, but reducing the importance of education. Professor Kripa Shankar, who was the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Asia's biggest technical university, the Uttar Pradesh Technical University, in one of the conferences which ReTHINK India organized, he said कि मैं 12 साल की स्कूलिंग को 4 साल के ग्रेजुएट प्रोग्राम में बदल नहीं सकता. तो यहाँ पर बात है, जो स्कूलिंग आपके अंदर जो फाउंडेशनल वैल्यूज, वर्च्यूज और एजुकेशन आपको इम्पार्ट कर रहा है, समझ. एजुकेशन इज लार्जली अबाउट, आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू द थ्योरेटिकल डेफिनेशंस ऑफ वेरियस स्कॉलर्स पर से, जो समझ विकसित कर रहा है, लर्निंग हाउ टू लर्न. तो स्किल्स तो यू कैन एक्वायर क्विकली इन अ शॉर्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम इफ यू आर वेल एजुकेटेड. तो जो एटीट्यूड्स हैं आपके, जो आपका टेम्परामेंट है, a whole lot of things, इनको भी लोग आजकल स्किल्स की डोमेन में रखने लगे हैं. बट स्किल्स विल चेंज ऑन एंड ऑन. एक नई टेक्नोलॉजिकल लाइफ साइकिल आई, एक नई प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज आई, कुछ एक नया कोई एक हंगामा हुआ, ये ट्रेंड की तरह बदलते चले जाएंगे. बट जो फाउंडेशनल एजुकेशन है आपकी, वो स्थायी रहेगी. तो आई थिंक इट इज लाइक द आइसबर्ग मॉडल, कि जो आइसबर्ग का 3/4 या 2/3 हिस्सा जो समुद्र के नीचे रहता है, दैट इज योर एजुकेशन. एंड उसके ऊपर जो दिखता है, द स्किल पार्ट ऑफ इट, विच मेक्स यू एम्प्लॉयबल, विच मेक्स यू एंटरप्रेन्योरियल, वो ऊपर है. तो आई थिंक इसका कंटिन्यूएशन जो है, इसका जो एसिमिलेशन है, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दे आर टॉकिंग अ लॉट अबाउट ग्लोबल डेटाबेसेस. ये सारी बातों का जो कोर एसेंस है, बिकॉज इट अफेक्ट्स अस ऑल. तो फ्यूचर ऑफ वर्क इज गोइंग टू बी डाइसी अनटिल और अनलेस वी आर मल्टी डेक्स्ट्रस. आगे आने वाले टाइम में जो फ्यूचर ऑफ वर्क है, वो सिंगल स्पेशलिटी से काम नहीं चलेगा. वहां पर यू हैव टू बी knowing the integral continuum of a larger job role. पहले होता था आप इस मशीन के ही ऑपरेटर हो, या आप केवल इतना ही सेगमेंट देख रहे हो. टुडे CEOs are expected to be the chief public relations officers themselves. They have to understand their financial bottom line as well. तो जॉब रोल्स बहुत ही इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी हो रहे हैं, मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी हो रहे हैं. आई थिंक योर NEP 2020 has come in at a very very opportune moment and it has emphasized upon. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि मैं ज्योग्राफी, और मैं तो मैथमेटिक्स का स्टूडेंट हूँ, मुझे ज्योग्राफी से क्या लेना देना. पर मैं आपको बता दूं कि बिना मैथमेटिक्स के आप ज्योग्राफी के कोऑर्डिनेट्स नहीं समझ सकते हैं. एंड ज्योग्राफी यूजेस मच बिगर आज जो पूरी इकोनॉमी, ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी है, वो ज्योग्राफिकल इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम्स पे चल रही है। इंडिया नाविक जीपीएस सिस्टम पे सारी राउटिंग और रीराउटिंग हो रही है। तो अगर हम अपने स्कूल के लेवल पे, अपने क्लासरूम के लेवल पे इस बात को अप्रिशिएट करना शुरू कर दें, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी डिस्कोर्सेस कर लें, किसी का अगर इतिहास बहुत अच्छा है तो इतिहास के साथ में हम विज्ञान को भी जोड़ सकते हैं कि भाई व्हाट इज द हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडियाज स्पेस एक्सप्लोरेशन इन 1969 से 2003 में, हाउ वी हैव कम अप टू दिस लेवल, एंड आगे अगले 10 सालों में हम कितनी प्रगति करने जा रहे हैं। आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट दे आर टॉकिंग एट अ वेरी वेरी मैक्रो लेवल अबाउट द फ्यूचर ऑफ वर्क। आप ये टर्म अक्रॉस पढ़ रहे होंगे, विच आर द 21st सेंचुरी स्किल्स, अलग अलग नामों से। वहां पे स्किल्स है बिकॉज समवन हैज टू डू अ बिजनेस, बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे द फ्यूचरिस्टिक स्किल्स आर ऑल कॉमन सेंस। आई थिंक आप सभी के जो फैकल्टी मेंबर्स जो फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल से आपको बातें कहते रहे हैं, अगर उन्हीं को हम अगर मैप कर लें, आई गिव यू एन एक्सरसाइज, यू विल फाइंड दैट ऑल दीज fancy terms and terminologies are the very same things your teachers have been saying all through. So teachers can augment their lingo to that level and you students can backtrack it a bit. जो ट्रस्ट है, वो जो कॉम्पैक्ट है, हमारे भारत में रहता था कि गुरु और शिष्य समवेत होकर ज्ञान प्राप्त करते थे। तो आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट इज द कोर एसेंस ऑफ इट ऑल, बिकॉज इफ यू हैव अ फैबुलस एजुकेशन, skilling is not a problem. They are talking about creating job skills for jobs databases, but I tell you, टेक्नोलॉजिकल लाइफ साइकिल इतनी फास्ट है कि फेसबुक को थ्रेड्स बनाना पड़ गया टू काउंटर ट्विटर। ट्विटर ने अगर $40 बिलियन खर्च करके एलन मस्क ने ट्विटर को खरीदा, तो उसने ट्विटर को ही खत्म कर दिया और वो उसकी ब्रांड को एक्स के रूप में ले आए। सो ही हैज हिज ओन थॉट्स ऑफ माइंड कंट्रोल, मेकिंग पीपल अंडरस्टैंड इन देयर ओन वेज ऑफ लाइफ। तो ये जो सटल चैलेंजेस हैं, आई थिंक अगर हम इस पर कंसर्टेड कॉन्शियस लेवल पे इफ वी स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग, इफ वी स्टार्ट एक्स्ट्रा, ये केवल पॉइंटर्स हैं, ये केवल टॉप लेवल पे क्या हम कर सकते हैं कई बार ग्लोबल डिक्लेरेशंस में, क्योंकि ये सबसे ज्यादा कंटेंशियस इशू होने जा रहा है आगे आने वाले टाइम में। इनफैक्ट दैट्स व्हाट दे हैव सेड, यूएन ग्लोबल एक्सेलरेटर ऑन जॉब्स एंड सोशल प्रोटेक्शन फॉर जस्ट ट्रांजिशंस। आगे आने वाले मॉडल की जो मोटी मोटी अप्रोच है कि a few people will be creating value, rest will be all consumers, and the taxation money, the public money will be funding and feeding them through the reverse route. And we can see a lot of geopolitical unrest because of all this going over there. So let's move on. This is another term which is very, very strongly out there, financial inclusion, especially in this government which started with the Jan-Dhan Aadhaar and mobile. कि भाई सभी को फॉर्मल फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम के साथ जोड़ा जाए, यूपीआई के साथ जोड़ा, सबके खाते होने चाहिए। सो दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ अ ग्लोबल पुश कि इनफॉर्मल इकोनॉमी को फॉर्मल किया जाए, लेट्स मेजर इट, लेट्स मोनेटाइज इट। दिस इज व्हाट अ ग्लोबल फाइनेंशियल कॉन्ड्रम, मल्टीपल स्कूल्स ऑफ थॉट्स आर देयर रिगार्डिंग दैट। पीपल से कि भाई सबसिस्टेंस इकोनॉमी को आप क्यों इतना कॉस्ट दे रहे हो? यू आर नॉट गिविंग द एटीएम कार्ड्स टू द जनधन पीपल, सो दे हैव टू गो टू द ब्रांच एंड विड्रॉ द मनी। बट एज आई सेड, फ्यूचर ऑफ वर्क के साथ फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन इज अ इंटीग्रल पार्ट। तो आप लोगों, यू आर स्वतंत्र कि आप क्या व्यू लेना चाहते हैं, आपकी खुद की कन्विक्शन क्या है, एंड दैट इज योर ओन सेल्फ एक्सप्लोरेशन। योर अप्रिशिएशन इज योर ओन with your felt reality. We cannot superimpose or juxtapose over there. And but whatever you say, you have to have your own arguments regarding that. So they are talking about now the enhanced digital financial inclusion of micro, small and medium enterprises. कि उनको easy finance कैसे मिले। एक बहुत बड़ा conundrum है कि भाई बहुत easy finance तो मिल रहा है, बट क्या मार्केट सिस्टम्स मुझको हेल्प कर रहे हैं कि मैंने लोन तो ले लिया 50 लाख का, पर क्या मैं 50 लाख से 5 करोड़ की वैल्यू बना पा रहा हूं कि नहीं बना पा रहा हूं? तो जो नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स की प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है, एनपीएस की बात आ जाती है। दिस एंटायर डिस्कोर्स इज अराउंड दैट। The G20 is talking about advancing financial inclusion. If you take up that topic, perhaps you will go deeper into it. Then fighting corruption. Corruption बहुत एक बड़ा इशू है, इट्स अ ग्लोबल इशू। स्विस बैंक, हम लोग हिंदुस्तान के उत्तराखंड के कौसानी जो हिल स्टेशन है, which is much higher than Davos. The same time Delhi to Davos, the same drive time is from Delhi to Devabhoomi Kausani. तो स्विट्जरलैंड में हम लोग वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की बातें करते हैं, बट लार्जली जो वहाँ के स्विस बैंक्स हैं जो कि ग्लोबल ब्लैक मनी को रखते हैं, लॉन्डर करते हैं, मेनी ऑफ द जेम्स बॉन्ड मूवीज, मेनी ऑफ द पॉपुलर फिल्म्स, यू माइट हैव सीन दैट। तो एक ग्लोबल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात हो रही है। आप लोगों ने अगर अपना खाता खोला है या आपके पेरेंट्स ने कभी किसी बैंक में अकाउंट खोला है, और इनफैक्ट यू गो टू open up a bank account, even if you are a minor with your parents, so you will be asked to fill up a kind of a fatka form, which is a declaration कि भाई मेरा पैसा right sources से है. So these are many of the regulations we are already under, but we are not knowing about it. तो financial integrity के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को स्ट्रांगली कर रहे हैं. 3 बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट प्रिंसिपल्स इन लोगों ने यहाँ रखे हैं. हमारे ललित मोदी साहब पैसा लूट कर लंदन में है, हरीश साल्वे साहब की शादी में, तीसरी शादी में वो शिरकत करते हैं. लॉट ऑफ पब्लिक फ्यूरोर इज अबाउट दैट. सो इफ यू आर फॉलोइंग द न्यूज ट्रेंड्स, इफ यू आर लिंकिंग देम अक्रॉस, कि अगर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग विजय माल्या का एसेट रिकवरी मैकेनिज्म्स भारत सरकार ने उसको रिकवर किया, इफ यू हैव सच अ ह्यूज काइंड ऑफ एन एनपीए. अभी हम लोगों ने हेयर कट की बात सुनी कि भाई एक बहुत बड़ा मीडिया ग्रुप का जो डेट था उसको हेयर कट देके बहुत ही छोटा अमाउंट पे करना पड़ा. सो वो सारी एनॉमलीज एग्जिस्ट करती हैं बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स स्टफ. पर इन्होंने 3 बातें कही हैं कि भाई एसेट रिकवरी हो जाए, अगर आपने बेईमानी से कोई चीज बनाई है तो हम उसको छीन लेंगे आपसे. प्रमोटिंग इंटेग्रिटी एंड इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ पब्लिक बॉडीज, जैसे भारत का सीवीसी है, एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट की हम रोज खबरें सुना करते हैं. इनफैक्ट द साइबर बाबू, ही हैज बीन अरेस्टेड वेरी रिसेंटली, कपल ऑफ डेज बैक, फॉर सम इरेगुलरिटी. सो एक अलग टाइप की पॉलिटिक्स भी चल रही है देश में. And reaffirm our support to enhance global efforts to seize, confiscate and return criminal proceeds to victims and states. अब इसका कैसे power play होता है that we will all see, but ये principles have been enunciated over here. इन्होंने यहाँ पे एक OECD एंटी ब्राइबरी कन्वेंशन की भी बात की है. क्रिमिनलाइजिंग फॉरेन ब्राइबरी की बात है कि भारत में जैसे हमने सुना बोफोर्स के समय की बात कि भाई वह किकबैक्स था. There was a lot of furor created by the political opposition regarding the Rafale deal as well. तो फ्रॉम अ स्मॉल बाबू, आपको कुछ छोटा काम म्युनिसिपल लेवल पे कराना है, टू द नेशनल लेवल विद द पब्लिक ऑफिशियल्स, करप्शन रिमेन्स अ बिग इशू. सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव फॉर टुडे. टुमारो वी विल बी कवरिंग, इट्स मोर अबाउट orienting you to the section B, which is accelerating progress on sustainable development goals. डेवलपमेंट की जो हम बात करते हैं, विकास की जो हम बात करते हैं, तो इसको हम कल लेंगे. अगले 7 दिनों में ये G20 के इस डिक्लेरेशंस के माध्यम से वी गिव यू अ नाइस स्नैपशॉट एंड ओवरव्यू ऑफ ऑल द एरियाज, एंड देन यू कैन पिक अप योर ओन वर्क स्ट्रीम. वी विल गिव यू द आई वुड से a better dashboard where you can download the documents pertaining to a work stream over there. I think any questions, any comments, let me stop it over here. Whosoever have survived so far, I think a very studious Dhanya Sangwan is there. She's ki kuch palle padha bhi ki nahi padha. Let me, if all of us can come on camera wherever we are, no worries. And any comments, any questions, I try to just run it through to familiarize it. एक बार dense content है, मट्टी को खोदते हैं फावड़े से. I just try to do that. So over to Dhanya. You are there on the camera as a studious. आपका introduction और comment first and then question if any. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. It was a good, fun learning session with you. I am here live from Delhi. I am an 11th grade student. So I enjoyed the way you explained each and every clauses. So I had a little question for you.
Please.
Go ahead, Dhanya.
You were talking about MSMEs, the local companies being like taken over by startups. So don't you think a lot of startups are taking up local craftsmanship? So where do you count that? Under MSMEs or like unicorns?
It's a matter of deeper investigation. See, larger, on a broader level, we can say that 7 crore plus retailers, small enterprises, they have come under deep stress. And theoretically, the model which is coming forward, because if see, it's a closed circuit at the end of the day. Economy में वो zero sum game होता है, physics में जो कहते हैं closed system है. At the end of the day, वो जो size of the kitty है वो वही रहने वाला है. either you purchase that product. I'm talking about the retailer first. Manufacturing, I will come second. Either I purchase a particular commodity from my neighborhood store, mom and pop store as we call it. So whatever margin is there, by whatever value chain it is coming to that person, वो एक घर चलाता है, right? But whatever the bigger trading platform is there, ideally these e-commerce platforms were Sachin and Bindi were good friends of mine. They are from IIT Delhi. They used to start with selling books. अब हर अच्छी book नहीं sell हो सकती है. But what is happening today, if you see, and you have to observe it more. I am nothing here and there. A lot of market share is going to these biggie players because in the name of efficiency, what is happening is they are taking away the margin of the last mile retailer. तो वो अपना किराया भी नहीं निकाल पा रहा दुकान का. Now the question is where this 7 crore worth community go. So there are very innovative solutions जहाँ पे application का part आता है. And this is what the sovereign governments can really do. But then the pressures of these multi-billion or trillion corps is so high है कि ये लोग सरकारों को अपनी जेब में लेकर चलते हैं. And they define the global agenda. तो भाई कुछ commodities के लिए restrict कर दीजिए, कुछ restrictive pricing रख दीजिए. HSN code है, we know about GST ने सारा tax continuum रखा हुआ है. आप ये देखिए कि groceries जो हैं शहरों में, बड़े शहरों में खासकर बड़े बड़े फ्रंट पेज पे एडवर्टाइजमेंट आता है, अमूल मक्खन की बट्टी आधी किलो की वो अपनी जेब का पैसा डाल के दे रहे हैं. नाउ दिस इज मर्सिनरी एडवर्टाइजिंग. अपना बड़ा स्टोर चलाने के लिए भी ई कॉमर्स को साइड कर दीजिए, इवन द बिग स्टोर्स, बिकॉज दे हैव बिग मनी ओवर देयर. सो दिस इज अनफेयर प्रैक्टिस. इसकी बात कहीं ना कहीं youngsters like you have to raise it somewhere. You have to make a policy paper about that. Innovative. So the problem अभी हमें लग रहा है कि अरे बड़ा discounting मिल रहा है. If you mark the discounting prices of these big portals, VC money खत्म हुआ, सारा discount छूमंतर हो गया. So I think वो observation आप अपने micro level पे भी अगर आप करेंगे, and we want your perspectives for that, not my judgment. तो मिक्स है. इंटीग्रल व्यू में ये कि ग्लोबल प्रोडक्ट है, कोई आर्ट्स में आर्टिजन का प्रोडक्ट है, उड़ीसा की कोई शिल्पकारी हो रही है, वो मुझे दिल्ली में चाहिए, तो भैया अच्छा है ना, तुम्हारा लॉजिस्टिक चेन है, मुझे उड़ीसा के पाटपत्र, वहां की धोतियां, वो आपको नहीं मिलेगा. मैक्सिमम प्रोडक्ट्स यू विल फाइंड ऑन दीज ई कॉमर्स पोर्टल्स. इफ यू डू एन एनालिसिस, इट्स अ गुड प्रोजेक्ट. You will find of the global supply chain. They talk a lot with their Armanis and Gookies at the DPIITs and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to understand the stark realities. कि सब कोई business करने के लिए बैठा है. Their all aspirations are to become multi-billionaires. I give you another example from the fintech sector. India takes pride in having the global UPI, the Unified Payment Interface, developed by our indigenous engineers at the NPCI, National Payments Corporation. ठीक है. अब आप अगर जाइए उसी प्लेटफॉर्म के बेसिस पे इंडियन पोस्ट की फाइन ऐप है, पोस्ट पे, यूपीआई पे बेस्ड. यू विल फाइंड जीपे करो, अमेजन पे करो, फोन पे करो, पोस्ट पे करो, कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. इवन आवर ओन इंडिजीनियस प्लेटफॉर्म, बिकॉज ये जितना भी ट्रांजेक्शन हो रहा है, देयर इज अ स्मॉल मनी, स्मॉल फीस. व्हेन वी यूज्ड टू एक्सचेंज नोट्स, अब 15 रुपया देने के लिए हम पूरा ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन को यूज करके मैं अपना 15 रुपया रिक्शे वाले को दे रहा हूँ. ये फीलिंग वेरी गुड, हमने पंडित जी को दक्षिणा दे दी. बट देन अगर ओवरऑल कॉस्ट, सो वी नीड यू टू थिंक, जो मैंने पीछे लिखा हुआ है कि गो टू द हार्ट ऑफ इट ऑल. और जो व्यू है उससे डरो मत, एंड ट्राई टू फाइंड द ऑब्लिक व्यू ऑल्सो कि व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. सो दिस इज, आई थिंक, डॉक्टर सुरभि, एनीथिंग यू वांट टू ऐड अपॉन?
Yeah, Dhanya is from OPG World School, Dwarka, New Delhi. And
Okay.
I think she has raised a very pertinent question. Good going, Dhanya. It's a good observation of yours. And I would also like to say that any policy, any perspective per se you have to develop your own insight and interpretation on it, as sir said. So it's very good that you are thinking deep. We have also Swati Chitkara ma'am from Oasis World School, Bangalore. We have Sagar Yadav sir from Mayur Chupasni's School, Jodhpur, and Vivek Tiwari sir from Ashok Hall Girls Residential School, Majkhali from Uttarakhand. I would request all and Maitri Bhattacharya ma'am to switch on the cameras and please post some questions or give in your comments. Let's make this interactive concluding session.
I think we have way past. We are just 3 minutes from the half-hour window. So if there's nothing, thank you so much. And Dhanya, this is the whole spirit behind. Question the status quo. किसी ने बोला है, but if it is contradicting to my own experiential way, this is the scientific temper. Don't take anything or everything by authority alone. भाई मेरी life में, if I'm not finding it over there, भाई propaganda, perceptions, they're all very fine. But then being a Sherpa, you know how to create your own way, and the future is going to be ultra complex. And wherever you go, whatever view you take, it's a hard work. It's not easy. It's very easy कि भाई ये अच्छा है. Reading the headline is fine, but then reading the fine print of it all, I think that is the most challenging part, and that's what we are just kindling that by way of these master classes, these exercises. People say, आप लोग G20 को पढ़ा रहे हो? अरे भैया ये तो MA के international students. But I tell you, there is a concept of reverse engineering. भैया दुनिया भर के लीडर्स इसके लिए इकट्ठे हुए एक दिन हिंदुस्तान में, इससे ऊपर तो कुछ भी नहीं है. तो लेट्स टेक इट एज द ग्लोबल एपिटमी and let's backtrack it. I think honorable faculty members can pick and choose some of the narratives here, and in their classrooms they can use this. So this is the whole idea. We are building up the bottom of foundation, but a top-down reverse engineering, I think, would also help in a way. I think Sagar sir is out here. I would welcome him to speak or comment, and any question, query, most welcome.
Sagar Yadav sir.
Yeah. We are spoiling all your evenings.
Appreciate your patience. Yes, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Is it audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in Mayur Chopasni school, and the students were quite excited when I told them that this is G20 Young Sherpa, and the immune has been going to a totally different level. So they are quite full of enthusiasm. They want to study and discover a lot. So I shared links with them. Some of them were not able to actually log in. So one of the students was also sitting with me here a little while ago. So ma'am, it's a very good initiative, and right now when the students, when they come from humanities, what I think that rather than going to Delhi preparing for IAS and RAS, and then they start studying geopolitics over there, and what we are doing, we are basically introducing them, we are basically involving them while giving this platform here, and while giving them a first-hand expression of understanding how you can understand geopolitics, foreign relations, as well as your subject, humanities, political science, and history. So every aspect which as a work, the work stream has been shared with us is very helpful, is a wonderful initiative. And it's like we, from the very starting, we have started nurturing our minds. They need, like the way a bureaucrat thinks when they attend, or the politician think when they attend these kinds of summits. But yes, now these days, education and the education policy and initiatives like ReTHINK India has given this platform to the student. It is a direct involvement in international politics, international relations, what happening all around the G20 countries, what is India's initiative, what is our standing. So the students feel connected. They feel, yes, we understand what it is there in the newspaper, what it is happening going around here in the world. So they find it relevant, because I clearly understand. I used to go through a lot of newspapers, and these kinds of summit used to happen. So we used to think, okay, this is the international level, this is international politics, or something good happening in our country, people coming from other countries, and fine, India has got this status of host, that is it. But we were not able to connect ourselves. Now these days, youth has become so empowered by these kind of initiatives that they feel connected. they feel relevant to what it is going on there in the national scenario and the international scenario. So definitely the marathon session has helped a lot. It has given a lot of new perspective to think over and prepare. That is it, ma'am.
Great
Thank
to
you so
hear,
much.
sir. And
And
Swati ma'am?
yeah, there's a YouTube link I just posted on the chat box. If the students have missed it out, they can go through it. The whole purpose is just to kindle that popular interest. We talk a lot about in the peer circles. So why not talk about these affairs which affect our daily lives very frankly? Like, do we even know that what kind of institutional establishments are there in our very city where we are living? Which all G20 summits or which G20 work group was hosted at Jodhpur? Perhaps this is one of the question we would be asking, a kind of an open-ended one. कि भाई तुम्हें अपने आसपास के परिवेश का भी अंदाजा है कि नहीं, can you relate it to the global perspective? That is the whole purpose. That is integral learning. And I think that is the quintessence of NEP 2020 also, to make an enlightened learner, because this is the only way they will become future ready. Future ready is nothing. We can talk reams and reams of it. Future ready is all about devouring or handling volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. आज हम किसी से कोई भी ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन पूछ लेते हैं, सर ये तो सिलेबस में नहीं है, ये यहाँ नहीं. दैट एटीट्यूड, आई थिंक इफ वी कैन जस्ट ब्रेक इट अवे, कि आज होना था कल नहीं हुआ. अरे नहीं हुआ. Nobody knew कि Joe Biden will fly out from India at 10:30 straight away from Rajghat. Nobody knew कि Trudeau is the plane, military of Canada, his airplane will remain stranded for the whole night over there. So this is a word. So these are the anecdotes, and if these grapevine anecdotes, if we can link it across, anything can go bad, anything can go different. So चौंका देने के लिए unpredictability को we can accept. I think we have made future ready kids, and I think our eminent faculty members who are here, and I think one representative student who is listening so intently, we just need that in order to have this conversation going, some accelerated neutrons. Otherwise, the fissile material is out there very well there. Yeah, this will be.
Yeah, so I think Bhavna Saini wants to say something. Madam Bhavna Saini, some student or faculty, please introduce yourself. And Swati Chitkara ma'am will come to you next. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Bhavna Saini over here.
Yeah.
So I would like to tell about G20. First of all, I am very much, I would very much appreciate your forum, which is Delhi Leaders Declaration, which has chosen, chosen this platform to educate the other people, to lead to more value education related to G20. And when we talk about G20, it is not covering only the country India. It is covering various other countries, and that is the most key essential thing. And you're covering the various aspects related to countries, related to, if I say nowadays in G20, there is a major concern of production of crops. So crop productivity is the major concern. So when we are talking about the country India, like kharif crops and all the rabi crops are there. So their production and their import and export would lead to more economic productivity for the country. So I really appreciate your forum, and I hope to see myself joining your more sessions to get more valuable education from your side.
Sure, ma'am. You from which school, ma'am?
I'm from Eklavya School, Jalandhar.
Okay, lovely. Your faculty there.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Lovely, ma'am. Great to have you on board. Swati Chitkara, ma'am, I would like to speak something. Your comments or any from voices?
Yeah, so I would say it was a very knowledgeable session. It was really nice to listen to sir. He beautifully covered, the takeaways from G20. Like we have economic times full these days, entry of Africa or India stance on climate. And it is very important, the world is very dynamic. So children need to be multi-skilled. They need to know what is going around. Other thing I really like, sir told children to be patient, because this is not, because they are coming from different streams. it's like from different grades. So they may not understand the chairman's readings or the outcome documents at the initial level. They will have a lot of queries. So they may need to have patience to read it over and over again and to gain expertise into it. But it is a very good topic being taken up. I recently went to Delhi actually, so it was beautifully ready for G20. You can have that feel of G20 happening there like a couple of weeks ago, and I think the last week they have gone to a very different level. I could see the videos. So it is it's a very nice topic being taken, and like encouraging our children. They are our torch bearers.
Absolutely, absolutely, ma'am. So Vivek Tiwari sir, would you like to come and switch on the camera and speak a few words? Any of your comments?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Very nice to
How are
have
you?
Very fine,
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Welcome. Yeah, actually, I like the session, and I'm just expecting nicer things there. Actually, something like environment and all that. However, the NEP is there covering, but certain things are there that we should take from our side instead of waiting for the curriculum things to happen. For example, the environmental things. Fine. What is happening? We are not able to inculcate among our children the true value of what the nature should be like. For example, on the name of development, fine, we are focusing on development and development, fine, but we are not ready for that development. Okay, and in fact, when I'm just talking about ready, there should be a balance. Fine. For example, if we are going for industrial growth, so we should think in advance about the degradation of nature that is going to be there. For that, we are not advanced ready. Okay, for that we should be actually thinking in such a way that we should be ready for that. Hopefully, certain things I'm expecting that will come out from these sessions in the days to come. But this is my real concern that certain these things should be there,
Yeah,
so that our children may know the value of all these things.
So
absolutely.
So-
NEP has tried to touch upon, if I may come in, it has tried to touch upon a principle of putting up the local context somewhere. But
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the implementation part of it all, see, that local context elaboration can be done by a activity. Key students who are coming from different background, their own family background is the nearest one for them. And where they are living over there, I think Unnat Bharat Abhiyan at the higher education level, such exercise was made. A group of student has to create a developmental plan for a village per se. You have to see
Yeah,
things from
yeah.
an applied perspective of it all. I think because the timing remains the issue, the curriculum is so high. But what you've raised is a very, very pertinent question. We are talking about the global Utsav. Like, for example, Isha
Yeah.
Foundation is
Yes, in fact.
organizing the Gramotsavas. So
Yeah.
every school, what we feel is they can try to sensitize the students about the local civics, local
Yeah.
geography, local economy. वो हम लोग PCS के level पे पढ़ते हैं. अभी the pyramid
Yeah.
is inverted. When you try to appear for the state public service examination, then you study the state geography, civics, history, and all that stuff. But at the initial level, the content is more global in nature, national in nature. But that correlation, we can always try to bring it up in our classrooms. It's a big effort. It's not an easy one because ready documentation is not there. But what Vivek Tiwari sir has rekindled is कि भाई G20 का level तो ठीक है, but at the student level जिसको वो appreciate कर पाए हैं, I think हमारा जो प्रयास है वो यही है कि भाई global narrative की हवा है तो उसको भी समझ लो. But at the end of the day,
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, actually, what you're telling is absolutely, I do agree. But sir, like when we are taking it as a vocational training or something like that at the local context, fine. Local context, for example, we can take fine. Child is consuming almost 3,000 pages per year. That is going to cost 1 tree. So you are costing 1 adult tree 1 a year. Fine. At least you should plant 2-3 days, 2 to 3 trees per year. Fine. That's fine. But sir, that's not a global context. We are inculcating this among our children locally. But actually, the degradation of nature and environment, that's going to be a global context, and Earth is going to suffer. So somehow or the other, we need to take it on a global context.
So that is happening. That handshake is very much important. Think
Yeah, true,
globally,
sir.
act locally. So that is the whole objective. Sir has
Yeah,
raised
and
very
it should come
important
in the educational curriculum of all the nations.
right.
It's not only for India.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The global consciousness has to be there.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
people emerge
Yeah,
as global
true, ma'am.
citizens, that's very, very, very well said, sir. So, Maitri Bhattacharya, ma'am, would you like to come in? I think we are then closing the
Yeah.
session.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, I'm Maitri Bhattacharya from Tagore International School, Delhi.
Okay.
I would like to thank you for
Welcome, ma'am.
the initiative that you have taken. It's a fantastic initiative because it gives a scope for both interdisciplinary and experiential learning that NEP has talked about. And I think Sir very succinctly threw a lot of light on the key highlights of the Delhi Declaration. Definitely, it has enhanced India's stature in the world. The only hope is that it translates into action. And the other thing I would like to point out over here, add over here rather, our school has literally created a buzz about G20, and right from February this year onwards, our students have been undertaking various activities concerning G20, whether it is the middle school, whether it's conducting quizzes on G20 or having an exhibition on G20, mapping the road, all the throwing light on the Sherpa meetings, the various meetings that have been held, right? I think about 200 odd meetings that were held. We've had students speaking on G20 in the assembly. So let's hope, but unfortunately, none of my students could register because we are having our midterm examination. So
completely appreciate, ma'am. You from East of Kailash or Vasant Vihar?
I am from Vasant Vihar.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
I'm political science teacher. So
Okay, ma'am.
yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Yeah.
So yes, a wonderful initiative indeed.
You could let your students participate in the G20 Young Sherpas activity also. I would share the details with the faculty coordinators. So
thank you so much. That would be lovely.
This is going to be in October, November. So we have planned it deliberately so that students can take their half-yearly exams and then they can join in. So that's great. Great to hear your views, ma'am. And so much you're doing on G20 at the school level. That's much laudable.
Yeah, I think our students are very, very sensitized on it, and they would love to see, as I said, the Delhi Declaration being translated into action, because it's a very, very humane document.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So let's close, Dr. Sulvi. I think.
Yeah, I think we can come to the closing session.
Thank you so much for being a patient part of this second masterclass on G20. We'll be continuing with the other sections of the Delhi Declarations, trying to entail it in larger detail. The entire purpose is also to create a kind of a document, reading it out and explaining it further at the student level. And this is what the effort of ReTHINK India is all about. So thank you so much.